Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. To actually take advantage of the beautiful full moon Friday, that it's a very Venusian kind of day. I wanted to take this energy to talk a bit about astrology and our favorite idols. So in this case, I'm going to continue the Venus in the Sign series, and it's going to be dedicated to MONSTA X members, the 6 members. So yes, we're going to be talking a bit about them. So I would appreciate the support of the mom bebés in my community, and also if you happen to know to people or fans that are interested in the voice, maybe sharing this with them so this can reach to many people, and actually people that could be interested in this sort of analysis that we are doing here. Of course, like I always say, I do not consider myself like a professional astrologer. I have studied astrology, but I am not like 100% expert. I do consider myself an eternal apprentice of astrology, which I am very passionate about. But yes, we're going to discuss Venus in the signs here. I'm going to try to adjust this to the energies of each one of the guys. I'm going to try to give it like a very deep and meaningful analysis, but you know, as astrology and as other kinds of personality kind of traits, you know, that we're always the rulers of our destiny. So you know, energies don't define us, they just are available in there, and you know, we can always change and we can always evolve in some way. It's always up to us, you know, growth and change. So yes, I placed the 6 members, um, in order of the pictures that you see here on the screen. So you know that I'm going to start with Shownu, and then with Minhyuk, and then like with Kihyun, then with Hyungwon, then with Jooheon, and then with I am. So yeah, so grab yourself a cup of coffee, you know, like a glass of water or something, because it's going to be a very long one. So let's begin. Let's talk a bit about Shownu. Shownu is going to be the first one. We know he's a Gemini, his moon is in Capricorn, and his Venus happened to be in Gemini as well. So I think that if we are going to dive in a bit into how he would be romantically, or what he finds attractive, you know, what when it comes to romance, you know, potential, what he finds beautiful, you know, what he feels attracted to, how he also embodies his own, because sometimes the influence of Venus always, it depends on the sign that it is, but sometimes we embody or we become that sign, that energy from that sign when we feel attracted to someone. So it's not only a reference to what kind of person you would be attracted to. It's more about, you know, how the kind of energy that you incorporate also when you are in the mood for love, or when you are like thinking like, oh, maybe I like this person, I'm feeling a certain way for this special someone that is close to me. In the case of Shonu, since he is a Gemini, and we have discussed this with the Mombebes in my community, that Shonu seems to carry so much earth element in him because of his very strong moon in Capricorn, that it seems that it rules every little move that he does, you know, at least from what you can see on camera. He doesn't remind me of Gemini energy at all. Sometimes I do forget that he's a Gemini, but also it could have, you know, it could be also that he's a Mars in Taurus. So there's this very slow, earthy kind of element in him, you know, like everything about him seems very structured, you know, very stable, you know, and a bit like you cannot surprise him actually, because it seems like nothing moves him, to be honest. um But I think that when we think about romance, this is why I chose a picture of him holding a book, because we know that Gemini it's a sign that often it's ruled by Mercury, so it's all about communication, it's all about knowledge. So probably for him, when he is attracted to someone, somehow he embodies this sun sign of his, that it's about being curious in love, about like being a bit like like, oh, I want to get to know you, like I want us to have a conversation, I want us to engage in this sort of very, it seems very intellectual kind of interaction, but for them it's very romantic. Actually, a Gemini Venus, sometimes they do. You can see how interested they are in someone if they are having a very long and very prolonged and very stable conversation with someone. If they like someone, maybe not romantically only, but if they feel a sort of appreciation for someone, they can like turn into these very curious people, and want to have conversation with you, and want to, for example, if it's not physical encounters, it can be like talking on the phone, or using a lot of the internet, exchanging emails, all sorts of communication and connection. For them, it's very important, to always keep connecting. And they love to exchange messages. They love to text people, and probably they are very like very on their phone, that it's not, it's unusual that they do not have their phones on themselves. It seems like they try to keep up with what's going on in the internet as well. Not all of them, but I think that if they really like someone, they probably value that the conversation is fluent, and even though, if we think about his energy, that it's, with the influence of Capricorn and this Mars in Taurus, probably for him, his progress or his movements or his intentions towards getting closer to someone, it can be a bit slow, because it seems like he is the kind of person that, he is not going to make like an abrupt decision to, to be like, okay, I like this person, I'm going to do something about it. I think he will probably think about it. He will take all the measures, he will be very observant. But with all that, procedure being done, I think that at the end of the day, the Gemini part of himself will rise, in a sense that if he is interested in someone, he will try to keep the conversation going. Even though, yes, he can be a bit awkward, even though there are going to be moments of silence, probably because his Venus is in Gemini, probably he also feels attracted to people that are much more communicative than him. Probably he's not the person that initiates a conversation, but if he feels like comfortable enough, he could, and if he's in a sort of like environment where he feels like secure, or where he feels like he can be himself, he could be actually very communicative, very chatty. I think that he uses his mystery, or probably his very reserved nature, when he is in on camera, for example, or probably when he is working. He tries to be really professional. This is very Moon in Capricorn as well. If it's working hours, he will try to be the best of himself. He will try to show, what all his very professional and very responsible kind of side. Everything is very serious because it's about work. And for Capricorn energy, work, reputation, and also being responsible is like a huge like influence in their lives. So it's not that he wants to shut himself from others to see him. It's just that for him it's important to get the job done, and probably he will not show himself to be that romantic or probably that spontaneous, because he's always thinking about how will the others perceive me if I act like a fool in love, for example, or if I am too obvious. I think that this is something that also Capricorn energy doesn't like, to look like, I wouldn't say to look like a fool, but for them it's like, okay, maybe this is not the right time. They do evaluate these things. This is not good for my image, to be this silly, for example. Now, of course, that he can have it. He can have these moments, but it takes a while for him to show it, actually. So I think that as a Gemini Venus, probably he would be more comfortable with having a potential partner or feeling attracted to someone that is much more expressive than what he is. So at the same time, he doesn't feel the pressure to be the one that has to start the conversation, and make things awkward for both of them. So probably he does admire someone that also has a lot of, that is very skillful, and someone also very intelligent. Probably he's someone that he feels attracted, like a Gemini. He feels attracted to intelligent people, and when I say this, it's not about being book smart, about reading all books and stuff. It's probably someone that knows a bit about everything, so he can always continue to talk about different things, because he can get bored. Sometimes this is what happens with Gemini curiosity, curious nature, that they do get bored, and even though he can be a moon in Capricorn, and he can also look a bit boring at times, from other people's perspective, he can get bored in relationships. So definitely for him, it's about, taking his moments, like being cautious about, okay, do I really like this person, or I want to continue like searching, because Venus and Gemini is also about keeping the curiosity alive. So probably Venus in Gemini can show interest for different people. So yes, he does have a lot of earth element in him, so he could eventually be someone that can be in a stable relationship. Actually, I think that probably his goal when it comes to being emotionally successful or fulfilled is to have a long-term relationship with a trustworthy partner. But I think that meanwhile he is young and he's attractive and he has the opportunity to meet different people, he could probably take a while for him to settle down. Probably stability or having just one partner is not going to be like his main, like objective, and also, because we always talk about Capricorn and stability, and actually I have met Capricorn males that, yes, we are earth signs, we are stable, but some Capricorn males, they are a bit like resistant to actually like settle down with one person. They are very picky, they do not choose right away, they want to keep their options open. So it is about novelty, and it's about also the power that they hold. Probably this is about being masculine and being attractive at the same time. It seems like they are very popular with the ladies. So, probably he has this sort of attractiveness that he doesn't need to say that much to attract a partner. So he can use it. He can have various relationships or connections, because he wants to know people. He wants to take it slow to actually decide who he likes better. So let's move on to Minhyuk. Minhyuk, who can potentially become my MONSTA ex bias. We know that he is a Scorpio sun with the moon in Gemini, and his Venus is in Libra. So yes, here I think that, yes, we know that that Minhyuk energy, it's when we were just talking about Shownu the Gemini, but I think that Minhyuk, it's the physical manifestation of a Gemini energy, because he seems very chatty, he seems very communicative, he's very funny, he always knows stuff and he's not afraid to say it. So definitely I think that here there's a lot of air element in him, because he does have his moon in Gemini, and also that Gemini is an earth sign, and also his Venus is in Libra, that is another earth element. But this is something actually very fortunate for Minhyuk, because Venus is Libra is ruled by Venus. So the fact that he has Venus in Libra, it means that he is going to be very lucky when it comes to romantic relationships. And when I say romantic, it's because what he's going to look for in relationships is romance, and him being actually an effortless romantic, like he can embody that sort of very smooth, very, very gracious, very elegant kind of nature when he is interested in someone. It seems like he knows the right thing to say. He knows the right thing. He knows the right moves. A Venus in Libra person is very gracious. It seems, and they love to be in this state of love, in this courtship kind of, when they like someone, they love to be in love. And one thing that happens with Venus in Libra is that actually they love to have like relationships. They probably start dating from a very young age. For them to experience love relationships is very important, because they love to be in love, and this is something that can be a bit tricky for their potential partner, because sometimes a Venus in Libra is it's not that they are with someone because they are in love with that person. It's more about them wanting to experience being in love. So they are in love with the idea of being in love. So probably they are this sort of very, very like this kind of person that just stays in the relationship because he wants to keep experiencing a sort of romance, or if he breaks up with someone, he could potentially move on really quickly to another relationship. And when I say relationship, I'm talking about a proper relationship. Venus in Libra loves to be imbalance when it comes to relationships. They love to be devoted to someone and to have that devotion back. They love it. They feel accomplished in themselves when they are in a relationship, because Libra it's all about considering the other part of yourself. So probably Venus in Libra people are the kind of people that definitely believe in soulmates, or they believe that we are all meant to find the love of our lives. They are true believers of that. That love is meant for us. That you have to find your person. Because being lonely is not something that a Venus in Libra is eager to be. Actually, they do feel a bit anxious when they have to be by themselves. They probably do want to have a partner. The feeling of being lonely, no, is not something that they actually like. It's not something that they want for themselves, because they can get a bit like sad, or grumpy, if they feel like they are without a partner. They are like, oh, what's the meaning of life if I cannot find my person? So definitely for Minhyuk here with all his energy, I think he will always passionately, because he's a Scorpio, he will passionately always put himself in this sort of uh, search for his person, because he is a romantic, and he will be really good at seducing the other person. He will also will become what the person of his interest, or the person that he's in love with. He will try to adapt his behavior to that person, so it's going to be normal for Minhyuk to actually like get absorbed in a relationship, and somehow being a bit dependable on his loved one, probably like, like trying to adjust his life or his lifestyle or decisions to what his partner wants, because this is something about Libra, that sometimes they do get so immersed in connections with others, because this is where they feel the most validated, because they have so much to give to the other that they just surrender to the idea of connection, because they feel like it's their calling. They feel really good about it. So probably for Minhyuk, it's all about, like not forgetting that he's also an individual, and that he doesn't have to get too much, like too close to what the other person wants of him, because he could potentially be blinded because of love. When you love someone so much that you forgive them, or you allow them to get away with things just because you are in love. Venus in Libra also has this sort of like denial, because they are so much in love that sometimes they do not see things for what they are. They just try to maintain the the harmony. So sometimes maintaining a harmony, it means that you need to look only to the beautiful things, like enjoy only the honeymoon phase and not see the hardships or the not so flattering parts of being in a relationship, because being in a relationship, it takes a lot of effort. And him being probably a very public person, he does have to make some sacrifices. For him, it's not going to be easy to you know to keep a healthy relationship, because his professional life demands of him to act like a bachelor. So probably there's going to be a lot of like like a lot of discrepancy between who he is when he's in a relationship and who he is when he gives himself to the audience and his fans. But one thing you can be sure is that definitely he could potentially have the Venus in Libra people. There are a lot of artists that have it, because they do have this very strong connection to the fans, where actually they act like with a very true nature. They act as if they were their fans' boyfriends, for example, because they are so romantic in their expression that actually when he's acting like a boyfriend, he's enjoying it. Actually, it's not that he is going against his nature, because Venus in Libra, it's all about like being this sort of like inspiration of love. So if you can use him and your interactions with him to have this sort of role play of him being your romantic lover, he would definitely and happily play that role. He's always going to be flirtatious. It doesn't matter if he's married or not. He could always have this very sexy or very flirtatious nature with the fans. So let's move on to the other Scorpio, that is Kihyun. Kihyun is a Scorpio with the moon in Pisces, and his Venus is in a Scorpio. So yes, and the other one that has a Scorpio Venus is Jooheon, but I'm going to talk a bit first about Kihyun, because his manifestation of the Scorpio Venus is different. So let's talk a bit about his case. Since he is a Scorpio sun, to be a Venus in Scorpio actually is very, how can I say this? It's very fitting, because actually it's like, it seems like he can be this very intense lover, or this very intense creature. And when he is infatuated with someone, and I'm saying infatuated because that word is very representative of a Venus in Scorpio. They definitely bring the intensity into their bones, or potentially the people that come into their lives also has a lot of Scorpio nature in them. So there's this sense of his love relationships reminding him of the intensities and the complexity of being a Scorpio. So this the way he shows his love has a lot to do with who he is inside. And sometimes a Scorpio males, for example, Scorpio nature in general is very secretive, about their intentions. Sometimes they do look sweeter, or they look like more passive than what the real intensity is inside of them. So this Venus in Scorpio is here also to bring him these sort of scenarios where he's going to experience these these scorpionic situations very often, and things are going to get heated very often. So if he is a very calm and chill person in other aspects of his life, probably when he's in a relationship he's going to experience this sense of euphoria, or this sense of feeling too much for something, for someone, and falling very, like, being a sort of prisoner of his intensity and how much he likes that person, or also having partners that get obsessed with him, and that somehow for him is about, like he cannot let go of that person, even though there are moments of endings, or there could be breakups, he could potentially, like, reassume all relationships, or getting back with an ex, or being like, okay, now we are together, now we are not together, because Scorpio, since it's the planet, it's the sign that represents transformation and rebirth. It always talks also about endings, so there's this sense of probably, like, that, I don't know, the relationship that could actually, like, affect him the most, or like, being the most memorable for him, could be like one relationship that ended abruptly, and that they weren't able to resolve their differences, so they just cut the connection and move on, like this sort of death. So, and for Scorpio, it's not easy to break up. Actually, they go through really tough times of feeling really depressed when they break up with someone, because for them it feels like they're dying, when a bond is ending. And also, I'm saying this because since his moon is in Pisces, and Pisces and Scorpio, they share the same sort of energy. It's not about energy, it's more about, being very emotional. And so I think that for Kihyun to have these sort of ups and downs, and about how he feels inside, and also having this swift, this fluency of, like, oh, now I'm really happy, now I don't know what I want, now here, now I don't know, I think his moon in Pisces is what gives him this sort of image of him being, not being, of him looking a bit more softer, or a bit more passive than what actually he is like. I think that I talked about this in a recent live, where I mentioned that actually I sense a lot of possessiveness and a lot of, like, a Scorpio intensity. I sense it more in him than actually on Minhyuk, because I think that Minhyuk, it's a bit more like he just goes with the flow, and he can look like intense, but I think that he's just, for him it's about playing, for him it's about changing, for him it's about, like, okay, I can act like I'm obsessed with you, but then I will move on and will act like a different person, and, like, I will always be changing, but in the case of Kihyun, I noticed that his energy is very fixated. So there's something about his moon in Pisces that allows him to look softer, or probably to look like he wouldn't hurt a fly, like a sort of innocent kind of, or romantic kind of style, but actually he's much more like direct, and maybe a bit more like blunt about what he wants in a relationship, in the sense that he can be a bit more dominant when he is in a relationship, in the sense that he is someone that you cannot fool, because he's always using that scorpionic nature of him to follow you around. He's like a hawk. He's always like searching for his person. He wants to know how you're doing, what you're doing, who you hang out with. And not in an obsessive way. It's more about showing interest. It seems like he never. This is why I say his energy reminds me of a fixation, because I don't think he slows down with time. He's not the kind of person that he will ease his intensity once he starts, I don't know, like like once he gets really comfortable with you, you're like, oh, maybe it's just a phase. No, he will always maintain this sort of level of intimacy, and of always wanting to have you close, and of always wanting to see how you're doing, to be protective, to be always pendant on you, and also very observant, very observant about, the things that you like, what makes you happy, and this very devoted lover, but at the same time, someone that it's very silently like studying you. He's not going to sugarcoat things. There are going to be moments where he can look like really sweet and very docile, but there's a part of him that he's like, oh, I noticed what you did right there. Or he will just shock you with the level of how immersed he is, and how he can pick on things and details that you probably didn't know that you had. It seems like he will study you. He will dissect every part of you, and he will know you better than you know yourself. And for him, it's his love language. This is what we were talking the other day. This is not about this is being creepy. No, this is Scorpio nature. This is Scorpio Venus. And also, what I want to say is that he could potentially also be in relationships where, if he doesn't display this behavior, he could potentially attract someone that has these characteristics as well. Someone that is dominant with him, or someone that is obsessed with him, or a partner that could potentially be very like clingy with him, very emotionally manipulative as well, so I always heard very like interesting and very also intense relationship dynamics from Venus in Scorpio. They always have the most interesting and chaotic relationships and dynamics, because it's amazing how they blame themselves, and they're like, oh, I am the intense one in the relationship, or maybe, I don't know, my obsessive behavior was the one that caused this. And then they don't realize that actually the other part of the relationship is also someone that enables these kinds of sometimes toxic patterns, or sometimes this jealousy, this distrustfulness. Sometimes the other part also it adds fuel to that part, and this is why relationships get so sometimes so obsessive, that neither of the parts wants to let go, and at the same time they make each other feel miserable, so there's a lot of growth, and a lot of learning to do from the Scorpio Venus point of view, in the sense that they should be able to recognize that there's no need to have that level of intensity where you end up hurting each other. That's not love. So you need to, like not get used to like having these very high volatile connections. You need to slow down, that you can have like a proper and probably a boring connection, yes, but you can have it and actually be happier and with not so much anxiety about, like, or like always having these very conflictive kind of relationships, where it's always one of the parts involved, they feel like they need to protect themselves from the other. So yes, definitely a lot of intensity here. So let's move on to Hyungwon. Hyungwon is a Capricorn, and his moon is also in Pisces, and Venus in Mars in Capricorn. Hyungwon is interesting actually for me because I don't see Capricorn energy in him, and actually he has a lot of Capricorn energy, to be honest. But it seems like there's something about him. Probably is his moon in Pisces, that he seems like he is not present. Like I observed that in a few interviews, and he's actually really funny. But I don't know why. Maybe because the other members probably have like a stronger presence or like a stronger personality, so they take over the whole interview. But he seems like to be the one that it's like very like introvert, like hiding behind. And actually he's not behind. That's something that I noticed, that he usually is the one that sits on the front. So I don't know why somehow he becomes invisible to me. Maybe because he's an introvert, and I noticed that about IM as well, that they seem to be very silent, that they only talk when someone asks them something, but the other ones are very loud. Yes, especially Minhyuk and Jooheon. I noticed that both of them, they are very chatty, and they laugh, and they keep the segment very entertained. But yes, sometimes I forget that Hyungwon is there until he talks, until it's his turn to talk. So yes, Venus and Mars in Capricorn. So it means that the way he moves, the way he acts, the way he reacts, the way he shows his passionate side and his reactions is all very Capricorn. So Venus in Capricorn, it's all about status in relationships, and also about what they find attractive is to have like someone that they can build a sort of empire. I think that the right word would be to be able to be a power couple, to have a very trustworthy, very hardworking, very to be in a relationship with someone that they can trust. I think that it's not about the status. It's more about like knowing your your background, like, okay, like what are you doing with your life, like what are your ambitions, like what do you want to do with your life, what is your purpose in my life, what do you want to bring, what do you have to bring to the table of our relationship, because I want to build something with you. So I want to know if you are able to keep up, and if you are able to bring very stable results, because I need to see with actions that you are the right person for me. So I think that yes, it doesn't sound very romantic. I always say it, like whenever you go on a date with a Venus in Capricorn, it seems like they ask you for your resume, for your CV, curriculum vitae, because they are like, oh, what were your prior experiences working here and there? And somehow you always end up talking about goals and aspirations. This is something that goals, aspirations, achievements, this is in every Capricorn vocabulary somehow. Even though, even in the most hippie and new age kind of Capricorn, there's always going to be part of the vocabulary, achievements, goals, um, results, responsibilities, like these are some of the words that we do use a lot. So Venus in Capricorn, yes, it's all about, like finding a right partner. And when I say partner, I think it could be potentially be seen as a business partner, because definitely they do find attractive someone that works on their dreams, and someone that is always working to bring better results, someone ambitious. I think that that's something that they feel really passionate about. So yes, I think that in his case, I think that that's the that's one of the things that he definitely wants. And also him being a moon in Pisces, probably he uses his intuitiveness, his intuition. He uses it to sort of like looking through the appearances and knowing if you're really lying to him or not. But probably he does value that you are trustworthy, and with actions that you do have, also that you are very respectable, and this sounds a bit too traditional maybe to say this in this era, but probably he's very traditional when it comes to what he values, probably marriage, a commitment, a proper commitment, like to respect the traditions, the family. There's something about that, about him being very traditional, but also very sweet because of his moon in Pisces. Definitely, he's a romantic, even though he doesn't show it, he is a romantic. He's a romantic person. He's very sweet as well when he's in love. So let's move on to Jooheon or Jooheon. um, Jooheon is a Libra. It's a double Libra because his moon in Sun are in Libra. He's a Venus in Scorpio. And to keep it actually very summarized, because we have talked about being a Venus in Scorpio with in the case of Kihyun. So it's the same. It's the same, like characteristics of Venus in Scorpio is the same. It's just that actually for the case of Jooheon, for him is all about, also about balance, because he is Libra, and he probably has a stellium also in Libra. He does have a lot of, like, he will like obsessively fall in love with you, but at the same time he would always try to make things look um, very flattering, like he will try to look also very Venusian, like he will be honoring his Venusian nature. So he could potentially like be very, very like attractive, and being very romantic, and like knowing what to say and what to do, in order to actually get someone's attention. And then eventually when he has you, when he has you on his power, he will show you his intensity. He's the kind of person that he could potentially not show that he is a passionate or a jealous type, because actually he has so much Libra energy that for him he wants everything to be fair, to be balanced. So probably, it's not a good look to actually admit that he has a dark side, that he has a sort of like a very intense nature. So he's going to take a while. He first is going to act like a nice guy. This is very Libra, to act like a nice guy, and to give this sort of very beautiful smile, beautiful way of expression. He's going to be very balanced. He's going to make you feel special. He's going to be romantic. He's going to be tasteful. He's going to be very delicate also, like a sort of Romeo. He's going to lure you in with all these attentions to your person, that he will make you feel special. He will make you feel like a princess or like a queen. And then all of a sudden, when you are alone with him, he's going to show you his Scorpio Venus traits. That it's this very much more like he could potentially be the person that, yes, he's all sweet, he is all considerate, but he's also studying you from afar, and he probably knows more about you than you know about him. You know, there's something about him that this is very in Venus in Scorpio as well, that he definitely knows, because they are very intuitive, like energetically. They actually like absorb the other person's, their potential partner's energy. So they know through energy and through vibrations, they know if you are a good person or not. You know, so they could potentially be like staring at you or studying you, you know, through across the room, that you will not notice that you had been on their radar for a very long time, and you never saw it like this, especially because he has Libra energy. So he is sort of, for him to camouflage, sort of, you know, and to get into that very friendly Libra and very free, very liberating kind of energy of being a Libra, you know, very harmonized, very, everything is beautiful, everything it's a possibility, everything is positive, you know, there's all lights and colors and decorations and feng shui, you know, everything is in order when it's all about Libra. Libra moon and Libra and Libra Sun. But then in intensity, in intimacy, you will definitely see what he's all about, you know, and you will see that he will be like possessive, or that he will be like, okay, like I want you to be with me, like, you know, like I want to be able to trust you, like I want you to be honest with me if you want to be with me, you know. And they have to trust you. They have to trust you. They have to know that if you are willing to be with them, you know, because for a Venus and Scorpio, relationships are not easy. Sometimes they go through a lot of like misunderstandings sometimes, or a lot of drama, until they find their person, you know. So definitely this is why probably for him it's easier to present himself as this very likable guy, you know, as this very harmonized guy, as this very acceptable kind of person, you know, as this person that is always under control, you know, someone that is, he's really nice, you know, and he's always very pleasant to be around, not because he is not only because he obviously is a Libra, so everything he does, he does it to entertain others, you know, because he also has a Mars in Leo. So definitely the people that know him and know his tendencies to react or how he acts actually is very noticeable in him, that he loves attention, and since he is a Mars in Leo, he will probably be very open and be very like open to the public about what he likes, you know. And if he is in a relationship, he could potentially talk about his partner, he could potentially talk about his relationship, you know, and expose it to the public, or actually talking about the pride of being in love, and also putting their potential partner in a pedestal. You know, this is maybe sometimes because he's such a good entertainer, because he is always like over the top. You know, he's always very almost a bit exaggerated in his expressions because of his Mars in Leo. So if you add this Mars in Leo with his Venus in Scorpio, there's a level of dramatism, intensity, passion, very passionate, sort of fairy tale but passionate, kind of telenovela kind of interactions, you know, very dramatic. And he could also potentially be also attracted to people that are very scorpionic themselves, you know, very mysterious kind of person, you know, magnetic kind of person, very attractive. So then let's move on to IM. He's in Aquarius, his moon is in Aries, and his Venus is in Pisces. So yes, actually this is very interesting for IM. I didn't pay attention enough that actually his Venus is in Pisces. I have Venus in Pisces. So yes, I think that there's something about being a Venus in Pisces that I always hear people talk about the traits of being a Venus in Pisces, and I don't feel very like I don't relate myself too much to the characteristics. So I don't know what's going on with that. But I think that in his case, since he is a moon in Aries, there's also a very like I think that he can like distract people or make people believe that he is tougher than actually what he really is inside or what he's really is looking for romantically, because he looks like someone that is always very blunt, like always very he tries to be true to himself, and also put himself and his desires as a priority. This is something that a lot of Moon in Aries, they struggle so much with finding their own identity, what they want to do for themselves. So when you have a Venus in Pisces, somehow it seems like being in a relationship, it has to have an element of fantasy, or it has to have a sort of element of a lot of romanticism, and also feeling like you had found your person, but in a very magical kind of a scenario or circumstances. There's this level of fantasy also when you are a Venus in Pisces. There's this level of, okay, for me to know that this is the one. Actually, they always fantasize about finding the one, the special person, the soulmate. So there's this very fantastic kind of and very dreamy and a bit naive perception of what is romance, and what is romantic, probably like having also very high standards about, oh, I don't know if this person is my person because I don't know, I didn't feel, I don't know, the connection was magical enough, or I didn't have like this sort of very fairy tale kind of encounter, where we looked at each other's eyes and we knew it was destiny. Sometimes Venus in Pisces, they do tend to think about destiny a lot, or like, oh, when I met this person, when I met my partner, somehow, it seems like the universe was conspiring for us to meet, and they love to fantasize about their encounters with the one. So, and they definitely do, from the bottom of their heart, believe that we also have like a special someone for us. That there's always that person and that magical union exists. So this is very interesting because actually the whole chart of IM, it seems like it's very about, is pushing him to be a very independent kind of individual, but somehow his Venus in Pisces here comes to like interrupt a bit about that, because Venus in Pisces also is all about sacrificing for the loved ones, and sacrificing uh, a lot of things to be with a certain someone, like having to think about that person first, and forget about us, and having this very a bit sometimes not so realistic perception of who our partner is actually. Actually being a bit like blinded, and being a bit like sometimes being a bit naive about our partner's true intentions, because we tend to put them on a pedestal where they are Prince Charming, or where they are princess, and where they are the person of our dreams, and we tend to add to them attributes that probably they do not possess, and we in our fantasy, or maybe we in this sort of atmosphere of feeling head over heels for someone. We are literally like building this sort of very very blinded vision about something that doesn't exist. So I think that it's important for him to try to not get too carried away by his illusions or fantasies when it comes to love, and actually being able to speak up when he feels that probably things are not going the way he wants to. And I believe he has the potential to do it, because since he is the moon in Aries, definitely there's a strong desire in him about to, being honest with himself, and also calling out people that can be disrespectful, or actually that can seem like a bit manipulative. So definitely I sense that he could like be this person, that he could defend himself from maybe like idealizing so much someone. And sometimes we do this not only with our partners, we do this with friends, we do this with people that are close to us. We put them in a pedestal, and then when they show who they really are, or their real intentions, we get really heartbroken because of this. Because we somehow cannot believe how we didn't see that coming. But I think that that's also something that we need to reflect on, that I think that at some point in our lives, it doesn't matter what kind of Venus in the sign you have, it happened to all of us. We all want a Prince Charming, or we all want the beautiful princess or the beautiful queen for us. There's always this element of a very unrealistic idea of what our partner, our special someone attribute should be. So I think that now that we're talking about Venus in Pisces, um, I was, that there are, recently I noticed there's a lot of documentaries in Netflix about women, or women being scammed, women being tricked, women being cheated on, being in relationships with uh, with people that they thought they were this person, and then they turn out to be something else. So there's this element of, when you watch it, you get so frustrated, and you are like, oh, if it was me, I wouldn't have gone through that. Or, oh, I wouldn't have given them all my money. Like, oh, if it was me in this situation, I wouldn't have gone through that. And sometimes we do need to be a bit more empathic, and know that we are all fools in love. Sometimes we all get blinded, and we all get played at some point, because love affects our perceptions and our intelligence sometimes. It can happen to all of us. So, yes, guys, this is all I have. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I'm sorry that I'm rushing to end this now, because somehow when I try to record more than, when it surpasses the 60 minutes, somehow I cannot upload it because of the program that I use for this video. So I hope that you enjoyed it, and of course we can keep discussing this, and I would appreciate your feedback if you have any. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.